Okay, the 60-second warning. No, somebody did. Everybody wants to find a seat, we'll get started.
I'll double it.
Okay, we will call the September 16th final required budget and millage rate hearing to order.
Should we make everybody move up? No.
Is it?
Everybody move up to the front of the room? No.
The pastor has asked that everybody move up to the front row.
That does not work. Trust me.
They're not a shy group, so.
Is it 100% staff? And well, he's just like staff.
And the press, yeah.
There you go. We've got the West Volusia Beacon. John. Yeah. All right. If there's no further conversation, I'll call for the vote. All right. To be serious, because this is a serious matter, we will start off like we did last time with a brief, and he does know how to do it, briefly, introduction by the county manager, and then we'll turn it over to Aaron to go through some of the particulars on the budget, and then this is a public hearing. We will open it up to the public briefly. And so County Manager George Rechtenwall, if you'd like to start us off.
Yes, Mr. Chair and Honorable Council, it is my pleasure to present to you tonight our annual budget, and this will be for our final hearing on the budget and also for the tax rates. And in the interest of time, I'm going to turn it right over to Aaron, because we've been talking about this since last January, so I think that's all that can be said. Go ahead.
All right. Good evening, Council. Aaron Van Cleek, Deputy Finance Director. So most of these slides actually all of these slides you saw at the last budget hearing. The budget hearing tonight was advertised in the News Journal on Sunday the 18th. And I did show you what that advertisement was at the last meeting. So run through these slides relatively quickly unless you have any questions. This is the taxable value change by fund. The percentages that you see circled, the 2.3%, 1.4%, 2.3, and 0.4, That represents the new construction in those funds that are listed: general fund and library, municipal service district, port district, and Silver Sands Bethune MSD. Those are the funds where we are at a full rollback, and so all we are taking advantage of is that 2.3% or lower new construction values. This is the most important slide of the night because it is our ad valorem tax revenue by fund. Ad valorem taxes make up 31.3% or $331.2 million of our $1.058 billion operating budget. Ad valorem taxes are budgeted at 96% of the total levy to account for the 4% discount that taxpayers receive for paying their taxes early. The state requires us to show at least 95%, and we show ours at 96%. In total, ad valorem tax revenue change from prior year is a 4.7% increase, while payments to the CRAs represent a 15.1% increase. The services provided by the general fund are shown on the future slides. Just to run through these quickly, the other countywide levies include the library, ECHO, and Forever funds. The library taxing fund provides funding for operations of 6 regional libraries, 8 community branch libraries, and 1 support/training facility. The ECHO and Forever funds are the 2 voter-approved levies that provide land conservation, and maintenance funding, as well as grant funding for environmental, cultural, historical, and outdoor projects. The unincorporated areas of Volusia County pay ad valorem taxes for the fire fund and the municipal service district. The fire fund provides funding for fire rescue services, while the MSD provides funding for police patrol. To the unincorporated areas of Volusia. The MSD also provides funding for other municipal-like services to the unincorporated areas such as animal control, planning and development, engineering and construction, environmental management, building, and then parks, recreation, and culture. There are 3 taxing districts that are levied in the east side of Volusia County, and that is your Ponce de Leon and Port District, the East Volusia Mosquito Control District, and Silver Sands Bethune MSD. Mosquito Control Fund provides funding for reducing the mosquito population and educating citizens on ways to reduce the population. The Port Fund primarily functions as the non-federal local sponsor for management, operations, and maintenance of the Ponce de Leon Inlet Channel. Funding is also provided for Smyrna Dunes and Lighthouse Point Park operations, as well as the Artificial Reef Program. And then the Silver Sands Fund is specific to the Bethune Beach area, and it's only levied for the operation of street lighting in that district. Here's another slide you have seen at the last meeting. This is our countywide operating revenues by the different categories. The biggest thing that I will point out here is our appropriated fund balance number, which is 37.5%. And you will remember that the appropriated fund balance is our savings from prior year. That is not new money. That is money that we are carrying forward, and it directly ties to our reserves that you'll see on the next slide. So it is your beginning balance of your savings account. Here on slide 5, you have the countywide operating expenditures by category, and then you see the reserves in the dark gray area total $350,583,041, or 33.1%. That is, just over $40 million less than our appropriated fund balance. So it's showing that we are using some of our savings, and it's being used for specific purposes, capital projects. And those reserves are restricted by the different funds. You see you have transportation there, enterprise funds, emergency reserves, which in our taxing funds are set at the 10 per council policy, and then reserves for ECHO and Forever, and reserves for future capital. We could get into how restricted those are, because there are multiple. We have over 100 funds in our operations, in our operating budget. So those reserves are restricted by those funds for the specific purposes. This is our general fund budget breakdown. Again, you've seen this. This is our total general fund budget of $374.3 million, and external expenses and support and public protection are the 2 biggest pieces of the pie. You break it down again to the recurring level, where you see that your external expenses and support combined with the public protection totals just about 75% of your general fund budget. And then, of course, the external expenses and support do include the Office of the Sheriff budget, the Supervisor of Elections budget, and then the commissions that we pay to the tax collector and property appraiser. This is your history of the general fund millage rate. It does show that we have been reducing the rate since fiscal year 18, and the amount of ad valorem taxes that have not been levied if the rate had remained flat with 2018. This is your breakdown of the proposed millage rate, and it just shows how how the 4.8499 millage rate is broken down between the different, the various departments within the general fund, the office of the sheriff, again, the tax collector and property appraiser. While they're listed on here, they are commission-based offices, so that would represent the commissions we pay to those offices, not their total budget. This is the millage rate history for all funds. It does show when we've been at rollback, partial rollback, or below the rollback rate. What's new for fiscal year 22-23? We covered at the last meeting. We are adding 55 new positions. It does bring our full-time equivalent count to 2,407.53. And then 41 of those positions are in public safety, and 8 of those positions are in enterprise funds. We do have the 4% or $1 per hour wage adjustment for employees. And then every employee, full-time employee position is at a minimum wage of $15 per hour as of October 1st. And then we have the additional county recognized holiday.
Sorry.
We have the additional county recognized holiday, Veterans Day, that was added to this budget. For future concerns, well, we've talked about these at great length at different times. We do have Votran that is forecasted currently to increase over the next 3 years at about $8.8 million. Again, we are looking at different models and looking at that operation. So right now, that is what the forecast is based on, but there could be some changes to that in the future. We have Sunrail operations and maintenance costs, the potential of $9.7 million in fiscal year 23-24. Depending on where it goes, but that is currently what we had in the forecast for the general fund. And then the general fund use of fund balance, we are using $7.3 million in fiscal year 23-24, basically for recurring expenses, and that is at a flat millage rate based on an 8% growth in taxable value. That 7.3 million does really relate to Sunrail. Depending on the impact of Sunrail, that's where it really starts to draw us down. And then increased staffing demand in public safety operations. While we are adding 41 positions in fiscal year 22-23, we do have future needs that are also forecasted to be added in future fiscal years as well. And then remaining competitive in the labor market is always a goal. And then I will pause here on the proposed millage rates for public participation before they're read into record for your vote, unless you have any questions for me now.
Council, any questions? Do you have any public participation requests? Okay.
None, John?
Don't encourage them.
Huh? Don't call them out? Gotcha. It
He's
is.
asleep.
All right, so then I'll read the rates into record for your vote. The fiscal year 22-23 operating millage rate for Countywide Taxing Authority, Volusia County General Fund is the rollback rate of 4.8499 mils. The fiscal year 22-23 operating millage rate for the Countywide Taxing Authority, Volusia County Library Fund is the rollback rate of 0.4635 mils. The fiscal year 22-23 operating millage rate for the Countywide Taxing Fund, Volusia Forever Fund is 0.2000 mils, which is greater than the rollback rate of 0.1797 mils by 11.30%. The fiscal year 22-23 operating millage rate for the Countywide Taxing Authority Volusia Echo Fund is 0.2000 mils, which is greater than the rollback rate of 0.1797 mils by 11.30%. The fiscal year 22-23 operating millage rate for the Taxing Authority Mosquito Control Fund is 0.1781 mils, which is greater than the rollback rate of 0.1602 mils by 11.17%. The fiscal year 22-23 operating millage rate for the Taxing Authority Ponce Inlet and Port Authority Fund is the rollback rate of 0.0760 mils. The fiscal year 22-23 operating millage rate for the Taxing Authority Municipal Service District Fund is the rollback rate of 1.8795 mils. The fiscal year 22-23 operating millage rate for the Taxing Authority Silver Sands Bethune Beach Municipal Service District Fund is the rollback rate of 0.0129 mils. And the fiscal year 22-23 operating millage rate for the Taxing Authority Fire Rescue District Fund is 3.8412 mils, which is greater than the rollback rate of 3.4241 mils by 12.18%.
Thank you. At the previous meeting, we had a motion to approve all the millage rates as a whole. So I'm assuming.
I'll make a motion to approve them all as advertised and read.
Okay, motion to approve each of the millage rates by Johnson, second by Wheeler. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? And the budget passes 7-0. That is a reflection, the millage rate passed. That is a reflection of, I believe, how we did it this year, starting in January and spending a year doing the heavy lifting and the hard work. A lot of thanks to you and your staff, to Aaron, to Ryan, who is not here tonight. Well done.
Thank you. And this is your operating and non-operating budget for adoption. Our operating budget is presented at $1,058,802,678, and our non-operating budget is $168,824,126.
Move approval.
Move to approve the budget by Post, second by Gertman. Any discussion? George Rechtenwald.
I just want to take a second to thank our budget office and Aaron and his leadership, and thank all of these fine division and department heads that are in the room who really make this happen. And thank you, Mr. Chair and the council, for working with us through the year, as you mentioned, to be able to put together a budget that I think is very responsible and responsive to our citizens. And again, it's a reflection of the great team that we have here, and we appreciate it, and we'll go on out and carry forward and have a great year.
Heather Post.
So just a real quick comment. I just wanted to say, sort of piggybacking on what George is saying, in my 2 terms in office, I sort of feel like this is the best budget year ever in terms of the process. It was just very responsive, which is really good, right? You want to know those answers? Even though it dragged out a little bit, I'm sure, and it really probably felt it dragged out a little bit for staff. I really look at this as the best year ever in terms of the process. So very, very good job, and I'm very impressed with this year's process for sure. Very hard work.
Barbara Gertman.
So I want to say ditto to what Councilwoman Post said. I think that I've really felt good with the presentations that have happened throughout the year, and even seeing the shift in messaging, how, you know, you really broke the messaging down for the public to be able to better understand it and have it out on record, and be able to reference back to it. And I'm just really pleased with how I've seen you respond, but also how many of you out here in the audience, the staff, the directors, you know, we're all a part of this. And I love how we looked at it from day one when a new year started, with anticipation of where we wanted to go and what the opportunities were to get there. Recognizing future years may be a challenge, but I think we're even looking forward to see when that, you know, what those bumps in the roads are and how we could potentially navigate them as they come along. So I just really think people are being very forward-thinking and visionary about their departments. And but I still always say, still ask for what you need, right? Because if you don't, it's never going to get out there, right? If you ask for what you need, if you ask for what you need and we don't provide it and it causes a problem, that's on us, right? If you ask for what you need or you don't ask and, you know, the rubber hits the road, then we're like, well, why didn't you say something? You know, so I just think it's important that we keep the communication open. And I'm just really proud of the teams that have come together and how you've worked together to make a difference. And Chair, I'm with you. I know the challenge we had last year regarding budget, but for us to start this year and be as thoughtful working through this, I think it's really made a big difference. So I thank each and every one for working together, and that's what we need to do to get things accomplished. Thank you.
Yes, thank you all. And Aaron, as promised, at 6:20,
You got to make the vote, though.
and we're about to wrap up with a vote. So we have a motion by Post, a second by Gertman to approve the budget. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the budget passes unanimously 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Somebody in this room apparently expected fireworks because we have a full house, but we are adjourned, and Reverend Lowry said he's buying across the street at the Grape Escape or whatever that
Well,
place
you know,
is.
fireworks have to do with celebrating too, you know.